And now it's time for your second cup of political brew.
Good morning again. Welcome back to News Center Maine's Political Brew. This week, we're joined by Democratic activist Betsy Sweet and former Republican State Senator Phil Harriman. We're turning our eyes to Washington in this hour. President Biden is going big again, a more than $2 trillion infrastructure plan, a proposal to increase corporate taxes to pay for fixing roads and bridges, boosting research, tackling climate change. And it's really only the first part. The proposal would be paid for over 15 years by raising the corporate tax rate to 28% and increasing taxes on companies' foreign earnings. Now, Phil, everyone likes infrastructure spending because it benefits just about everyone, creates jobs. But is this going to be a hard sell for Republicans, especially on top of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that's already passed?
Yeah, I think you make a very good point, Pat. People are going to want to see the last time Joe Biden was involved in shovel-ready projects, they were not so much. And if we're going to spend that kind of money, I think the administration needs to prove to the American public and certainly Republicans who they'll want to vote for it, that the money has been well allocated to projects that people can see. My concern is that the label is infrastructure spending for roads and bridges and seaports, and that will get people thinking that this is a good thing. But when they find out that it's going to be for so much more unrelated to infrastructure projects, I think the Democrats are going to have a problem.
No, I think that what we're seeing is basically the New Deal, another New Deal being done, and it's critical at this point in time. The thinking that got us into this mess is not going to get us out of this mess. And so I think it's really important. I think it's exciting. And in terms of it not being just roads and bridges and stuff that we can see, broadband, well, it wasn't part of infrastructure for a long time, but that is a critical part, and that's included in this. Direct care workers, that's a critical part of our infrastructure of taking care of people. So I think those are the kinds of things that are included, and I think people are going to see it. They're going to see it in their pocketbooks. They're going to see it in their living rooms, and I think this is one of the best things that has happened in this country since the New Deal.
Turning our eyes back to Maine, News Center Maine's John Carrigan reported this past week. One consequence of the pandemic over the last year has been more people moving to Maine, many of them young people, and some deciding they're going to stay here for good.
I don't see any reason
that
we need to leave.
I think we feel very much at home here. There's a sense of community.
Betsy, how does the state capitalize on this trend? Because it seems to be something that Maine has really needed.
Yeah, I think this is open the doors and welcome home, come on. And I think that infrastructure, I think the number one thing that keeps people from being here and staying permanently is broadband. And so I think if we can take care of that, we have this opportunity to grow our communities, not just in the metropolitan areas, but in our rural areas, and really reinvigorating our communities and our economies. It's a good thing. I think we should do everything we can to encourage that.
What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, Betsy and I are of like minds on this one. Just think of the potential implications of these people migrating to Maine with their backgrounds, their experience, maybe their investable dollars, maybe they're entrepreneurs and will put down roots of employment in our state. This is a great opportunity, and Maine has a lot to offer. Aside from four seasons and crime-free neighborhoods and deep water ports and clean air and uncluttered airspace, we've got such a compelling, positive story to tell. And perhaps this will be the seeds that germinate our economy going forward.
Yeah, the rest of the country can find out what we've known all along.
Right.
What could Congress do you think, to address anti-Asian violence? It's something people keep talking about, that we need to address it. But what is it that the Congress could do, Phil? Do you think? Is there anything?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say this, Pat. I don't know where this Asian hatred has come from. It just sort of, at least to me, has emerged before our eyes on network television. I don't understand it. And perhaps that's where Congress could use the power of their microphones and their ability to communicate, is help me understand how this started and what I can do to help fix it.
Betsy, what do you think?
Well, Phil, it came from the China flu and the Kung flu from Trump, and from the anti-China bias that we had, and it just got expanded to Asians. People don't know the person who was beat up, that was almost killed, who was Japanese, the person thought they were Chinese. So I think that one of the things that we are seeing is that for a long time, I think our Asian, our AAPI community has, culturally stayed quiet. And so I think now they're sort of saying, no, this has happened and over a long period of time. So I think we have to name it. I think we have to encourage our schools and our young people to think about it. We have to look at what we're doing. And I think Congress does have a role to play there. And I think mostly with their own leadership. And, it's a terrible thing. I've been involved in some of those demonstrations and some of those conversations in Maine. And, it's heartbreaking to hear not only the high profile things, but the sort of death by 1,000 cuts that so many of our Asian and Pacific Islander Mainers are feeling.
And perhaps we need to educate people better about our less than stellar track record with dealing with Asians when you look at what happened during World War II in the internment camps.
Exactly. Starting in 1880s with the Chinese Sedition Act. I mean, right. It's been around a long time.
All right, let's take a look at our winners and losers in politics this week. Phil, we'll start with you.
This week, I have to say the Democrats in the Maine legislature are the losers. Passing a majority budget is going to create toxicity for the rest of the year. You can forget anything that needs a 2/3 vote going forward is not going to happen. This was a big mistake, and they're my losers. The winner this week is a young man from Scarborough. His name is Jack Carlista. Pat, you covered this story. Jack is a young driver. I'm told from people who know him, he's also an outstanding young man. Responded to a red Amber Alert in Scarborough and safely brought a woman suffering from dementia to police to be put back safely in family hands. He's my winner of the week.
You bet. And Betsy?
That's great. Well, actually, my winner and loser are the same people. I would say that the governor and Dr. Shaw and the CDC are the winners for opening up vaccinations to everyone now in Maine. And the loser is Dr. Shaw and the CDC and the governor for not making sure that our incarcerated folks have access to the vaccines. They are in situations where they can't socially distance, they can't do the safe things, and we have seen, and we're going to continue to see outbreaks. I would say that also I think a winner is the Democratic Party for making sure that this state keeps going. So there we have it.
All right, Betsy Sweet, Phil Harriman, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time. News Center Maine is back after this.